back to the Chicago Tomahawk. I'm Mike. I got my line mate Matt with me, and today we're going to go over the Blackhawks' last two games. We're going to talk about the roster a little bit, and then go over a little NHL news. But if you haven't had a chance, check out our last podcast. It's with Jason Ross Jr. He is an aspiring play-by-play announcer for the Blackhawks. Not sure when his next game is, but his last game he did I thought was very successful, which is something I can't say for everyone else that has been on other than John Weideman and that's pretty much it, man. And Nick Olczyk, to be honest with you, that's out of everybody else they've had on, those are the only guys I felt really confident with. Obviously, John Weideman's excellent.
Troy Murray.
Was he on for a game, Matt?
He's on here and there. I actually liked Nick Olczyk. I thought he did a great job. And he was really good with Pat Foley. It's kind of a shame that Foley's going because if, say, Eddie got promoted to like an office position, I think Nick Olczyk would be a good person to replace his dad. Yeah, I think he'd be good too. He seems like he's a natural at it, which, obviously the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Man, we'll talk about Eddie O later because I kind of wanted to get into that with you a little bit, just a couple things. Cool. But anyways, back to the task at hand. Jason Ross Jr., he was excellent. Do us a favor, check out the FHN.net. We've got some podcasts over there that you guys will love. They're also doing a new thing called, what's it called? Color Street, Matt? Colorcast,
yeah. I think that might be like my that nail shit that my wife does.
Probably.
Color Street or some bullshit. Anyways.
Yeah, I joined them. I think it was the Hawks Red Wing game. It was great.
Okay.
You could type to them. It's kind of like two guys on play-by-play. It's Nick and Chris. It was really cool. They have like a texting area, and they'll engage with your text, and sometimes they can call you to the hot seat, and you're in there for a couple minutes. They called me a couple times. It was pretty cool.
So is he like in the box for 5 or something like that?
Well, I got a 10, so I must have did something bad.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's my type of player.
Yeah.
So anyways, we're going to talk about the Wings first. Obviously, that's the outcome I like the most. Hawks win 8-5. It's just a story of the same. I think that the Blackhawks, if you notice, when they play bad teams, they do well. When they play good teams, it's somewhat of the same thing. This 8-5 outing, it's not as good as it seems because it seems like the Blackhawks were kind of constantly, chasing their lead. The Red Wings kept on, putting more and more pressure on them. And we ended up coming out with the win. But at one point, wasn't it, 6-4?
Yeah, it was very close. The Hawks were up 4-0 after the first. And I remember Nick and Chris asking me this question, hey, if you're the Hawks coach, what are you telling your guys in the locker room? And what I said was, keep your foot on the gas. And the Hawks did the opposite. They let back, and the Red Wings scored 3 in the second, and those were the only goals.
Right.
So, yeah, thank God Dylan Strome had one of the best games of his life. He got the hat trick, a couple assists, I think, too. And, he really showed up. And I thought Brandon Hagel had a really good game, too, that unfortunately, he wasn't getting much of the accolades, but Hagel was quietly very good in that game because Dylan Strome was just amazing.
Yeah, he was. He had 3 goals, 1 assist. DeBrincat, 2 goals, 1 assist. It's actually pretty nice to see him get an assist there. Hagel had 1 goal, 1 assist, and Kunbalik and Lafferty each had a goal. I honestly, man, I really like this Lafferty kid. I think that he's pretty good. He's got a lot of speed. He's got some bite to his game, and he doesn't back down in the corners. What do you think of Lafferty?
Yeah, he kind of reminded me of Philip Kurashev last year. He would, do the hard work, come out with the puck, make a good play. It was nice to see him get his first goal of the season. I think it was the 4th goal of the first period. He was. I like his speed too. I really do. I think it was a solid pickup for Nylander.
Yeah, I think he's a solid pickup for a guy who wasn't even playing.
Well, he's a guy that's on the NHL roster, and Nylander is an AHL guy. I think that's a win in my book.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So, I thought that the game was a good game. I wanted to mention a play that I saw with Caleb Jones. He was defending very well. Tyler Bertuzzi was coming up the ice. He tried to get a little bit too fancy. Caleb Jones pretty much picked his pocket and then set up a goal the other way. I think wasn't that the Hagel goal?
Caleb Jones. Was this in the first?
No, this was like it might have been in the end of the second or third period.
It was the DeBrincat goal in the third period.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't know if you noticed this. Calvin DeHaan he was playing great defensively the whole game, but I think it was it might have been the third period. He turned around, fired the puck right to the slot, and one of the Red Wing players took it, buried it. And then a couple minutes later, Nick Leddy did the same thing to Brandon Hagel.
Yeah, he did.
That was such a good play by Hagel because he was flying on the boards and he got hit. And I thought it was a questionable interference. It could have been an interference penalty. They didn't call it. And Leddy made the same play as DeHaan, and Hagel buried it. And I was so happy for him because I thought he got robbed, and he could have created a power play opportunity for us. But it's even better. He went back and scored the other way. That's just a great heads up play by him.
100%. I thought it was a complete missed call. He didn't have the puck and he got checked, which is typically an interference call. And to be honest with you, the way that he fired that puck, man, I thought it was going to go through the netting.
Yeah.
So moving on to the Blackhawks versus Avs. You know what? The Avs just have their number. The Avs. Here's the thing, Matt, and I'm on the fence here with the Blackhawks as a team. Are they a good team that just can't get any wins, or are the Avalanche not that good, and they seem to kind of come out of these games with the Hawks? The Hawks can keep into these, can keep up with these good teams, but they just can't finish it off. And the Avalanche, it seems like all year they've been. I mean, they're good, but they're not putting away what is supposedly supposed to be a bad team, Blackhawks, away. I mean, they should technically be winning this game by 6-2, and they're barely getting out of these games with the Hawks.
For me, I've said this a couple of times on Twitter to people about the Avalanche. Their run and gun style, it's really, really exciting during the season, and it's, they can really take over games and stuff. But in the playoffs, I don't know if you remember, in 2010, there was really not much run and gun play with the Hawks in the playoffs. It was tight. There was some, especially that Sharks series, I thought that was a really just an old school chip and chase, grind it away type of series. The Avalanche are going to have to learn that if they're going to come out of the Central, I think, because you're going to face Nashville, you're going to face St. Louis, who very battle-tested team, or you could face Minnesota. And I think they can beat Minnesota with no issues, but for me, I think the Blues or Nashville, they can just aggravate the hell out of them and beat them defensively.
Yeah.
And the goaltending. But as for the Hawks, I think if we started the season not like we did, 0-9-1, whatever it was, if we were a 500 team, I think the Hawks would, we'd be like right in the middle type of thing, not the basement. And if we had obviously our ex-coach didn't want to change anything, that's why we kind of had to. Hawks are still digging themselves out of this hole, but I think the Hawks are an okay team, average 500 type of team. But I think if they started off the year better with a better coach and a system, we could have been in the run for a wild card spot. I think it would be tough, but obviously the injuries. I think Tyler Johnson going down was bad. Taves has been slow, and now he's hurt again. But the Avalanche, to me, I don't think they're that great. I've seen better teams than the Avalanche.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I'm not sold on them, and I don't see them going far. And it's not because I don't like them. It's because I just see a lot of defensive deficiencies on this team. I think that they're all offense, and I don't think that they have any defense.
Yeah.
Kaner had 2 goals and an assist in that game. Gustafsson a goal and assist, and Hagel had another good game, another goal and assist in that game. Dylan Strome had 2 assists, and Seth Jones and Connor Murphy each an assist apiece. So it's really I see some really positive things with this team. The problem is that they just can't finish out games, and it comes down to a couple things. Kirby Dach is obviously a hotly contested player, right? And it's because he's a third round pick. You know, everybody expects him to be, you know, a NHL ready developed player already, and he's not. So I think Kirby Dach he was quoted the other day as saying, you know, he's been in this defensive type of role with the Hawks recently, playing a third line, a shutdown type of role. Now, is that a role that we want Kirby Dach to play? Yeah, he doesn't live up to his third round, his number 3 pick, but can he be a solid guy who comes in on the third or second line, you know, puts up some points, but can shut another team down? I think that he's been playing pretty good, man, defensively with, you know, with some of the most recent games that I've seen him playing. He hasn't been too bad. What do you think?
Yeah, you know how I feel about it. I think the Hawks rushed him, and you know, they didn't have a choice last year. They needed, you know, a guy to step in because Dylan Strome wasn't getting it done. I know it's his third year. Obviously, we wish he had better numbers. Like, the media is kind of the problem with this. They hype people. They hype this kid like he's the next one. And obviously, it's just a slower development for him. For me, I think a center should learn both, you know, directions of the ice, both defensively and offensively. I think that's what makes centers, you know, their career will be longer. Look at Patrice Bergeron. He can play both. He could shut you down, or he could, you know, get you on the score sheet. I would like Kirby Dach to learn that, but I don't see him as a shutdown center on this team. I think he would be my second line center for a while until, you know, obviously he starts taking off with, you know, production wise, but I don't know if I like him in the shutdown role.
Yeah, I don't. To be honest with you, I want him to kind of fit in wherever he's most successful as of right now. As of recently, he's been playing this somewhat shutdown role. But tonight, since, you know, Teaser's out, he's going to be playing that second line center role. Brandon Hagel, left wing, Dylan Strome, center. He's getting that number 1 center spot right next to Patrick Kane. Alex DeBrincat, obviously Kirby Dach and Philip Kurashev on the second line. Dominic Kunbalik, Sam Lafferty, and Brett Connolly on that third line. Ryan Carpenter, Henrik Borgstrom, and Mackenzie Entwistle to round out the forward core right there. And for the defense, we've got Jake McCabe and Seth Jones on that number 1 pairing, which you like. Calvin DeHaan and Connor Murphy on that second one. Considering the way Calvin DeHaan's been playing for a new contract, I don't mind him there. And Caleb Jones and Eric Gustafsson on that third line pairing. Obviously, you know, I don't want Gustafsson playing. I want Riley Stillman, but Riley Stillman is out with an upper body injury. We've got Jonathan Taves out in concussion protocol, which is not good. Juju's out with the lower back injury. Reese Johnson's got a clavicle injury. That's not good. Tyler Johnson's still out with his neck, and Lynx is out with his hand. So with that lineup, we got Dylan Strome on that first line. They're giving him another shot, man. Another shot. One more thing. I'm sorry. Wyatt Kalynuk is scratched. I would totally have this kid in for Gus, because I don't see why not. Why not give him the opportunity?
It's for the power play. That's it. That's all Gustafsson can do.
Yeah,
he's just a puck mover, quarterback. And you know what? I guess that's what King wants to do. But right now, where the Hawks are at, I agree with you. We should be giving these other kids looks.
What do you think about Stromer getting that number 1 center role?
Well, the way he's playing, he's deserving it, and you know what? No one's really going out and taking it, so why not? And you know what? I think it looks good. If you want to trade this guy, you're just gonna, you know, his production's gonna go up and his value will go up, and I think that's why they're doing the same thing with Calvin DeHaan. They're giving him more ice time to give the scouts looks. Who's ever interested? I know the Maple Leafs are very interested in DeHaan as like a just a steady kind of defenseman that'll eat up minutes. And as for Strome, I mean, what has he got? 4 goals in 2 games, a couple assists.
Yeah.
And he's playing well. He's playing well, and hopefully someone's out there. And if the Hawks decide to, maybe give him another chance, maybe they'll give him a year extension, maybe 2. I don't know. I don't think that would be necessary. I kind of wish we would start stockpiling on some prospects, maybe even picks, but we don't know who our GM is yet, so everything's still up in the air right now to me.
So the last game that we're covering is Blackhawks versus Canucks, which was a 3-1 loss. Now, mind you, one of those goals was a empty netter, which is typically the case. Hawks have been losing by 1 to 2 goals when they do lose, which is, it's nice, but it'd be nice if they could just get over that hump and finish off a game. Fleury actually played pretty well tonight. He let in one goal that I thought was soft. He wasn't, I don't think hugging the post the way he should have been, and a puck kind of snuck by. To be honest with you, I don't know how that, these pucks, find these little areas at like the precise exact moment. But it happened. Hawks were chasing the game. Connor Murphy had a goal that was assisted by Keener and Dach, which is nice. And to be honest with you, we've been talking about Kirby Dach playing more of a defensive role. He looked pretty good last night. I thought that he looked good defensively, and as he was probably playing that role, he actually had some offensive upside to him. I think instead of pushing and trying to score, that the points will come if he just kind of relaxes and maybe lets his game come to him. But, as we mentioned earlier, we think that he was brought up too soon. 10 games in Rockford, I think, could be helpful for him. Maybe even 5 games to get some confidence and bring him back up and let him hit it. Other than that, the Lafferty was a force. I think that I've been noticing him more and more since we've gotten him. I mentioned earlier how he's been fast. He's been on the puck, and it was the same thing yesterday. He had a good chance for a goal, and the puck was kind of, his stick was kind of tied up for a second, and that prevented him with practically an open netter. But I think that his play has been noticeable, and that's what we need. We need guys out there being noticeable, making a difference. Brandon Hagel had a good game yesterday. Wasn't on the point sheet, but he did play well, and he was very noticeable. Keener looked to have some renewed vigor in him. He's tired of losing, and it looks like that he's trying to make a difference. Strome, it's the same thing with Strome. As we mentioned earlier, Strome has an opportunity on that number one line to make a difference and to really show that he belongs. And the only thing I took from his game yesterday was that Dylan Strome doesn't do anything very well, and he does everything pretty much average. He doesn't really specialize in everything. He doesn't have really good speed. He doesn't have really good agility. He can't pass very well. He doesn't shoot very well. It's almost as if he was playing NHL, NHL 22, he'd be a 75 or a 70 across the board. But Seth Jones looked really good yesterday. I thought that he had some very good defensive plays. He had some good passes, and he controlled the puck very well. It seems as the season is going on and on, this guy is just getting better and better. Jake McCabe played yesterday. He had some pretty good hits. He played very good responsibly, and he had some good shots when he needed to take them. And that's what we need. So that's kind of to wrap up yesterday's game. There were some positives, but once again, we lost practically a 2-1 game. It was an open netter that made it 3-1, and that's where we're at. So the Hawks are a somewhat 50-50 team. As of right now, I think that they're going to be sellers, man. I don't think that I don't want to put them down. I want them to make the playoffs, number one. I don't want to sell off anybody because I want the Hawks to make it. But let's just have the conversation. The Hawks are realistically really, really in a bad spot right now, trying to make the playoffs. Who do we give up? Who's number one on your list? Is Kunbalik? Is this season a somewhat of a fluke? He's just having a bad season, or is he come back down to earth? This is who he is.
Do you have Kunbalik's age in front of you? Is he 26?
His age? Here, let me look it up.
For me, Kunbalik, I think, would be number 1. My number 2 would be Strome. Actually, I got to take this back. Fleury would be my number 1 first. Depending on
26.
26, yeah. So the Hawks aren't going to win any Stanley Cup in the next 3 years. So by the time 3 years is up, he's 29 years old. And usually players, they're starting to be steadily the same or on the decline. I would try to move Kunbalik. I know there's a rumor of, actually the guys from the 30 on Broadway said they would love Kunbalik on their team on the Rangers. It was kind of a rumor, and I said, wow, I didn't hear that. I only heard Edmonton. But maybe the Rangers would like a guy who could just, fire pucks and shoot first mentality. That Kunbalik's a good guy for that. I mean, he did put up 30 before. I would like to at least get a second rounder for him, possibly, or if not a younger maybe 22-year-old that's got some potential. Dylan Strome, I would like to get a second round pick for. I don't think anyone's going to give a first. Fleury, I think people could overpay, in my opinion. If times say a team loses their goalie because of an injury, I could see them calling the Hawks about Fleury and being in a panic mode, giving him a first rounder even.
Wow. I don't think that we could get a second rounder for Dylan Strome. I think maybe a third rounder. I don't see the value of Strome being the same as Kunbalik.
I don't think I would do it if it was that low. But you never know. There's guys that are picked in the sixth round that like Henrik Zetterberg type players.
Yeah,
you just never know what you're gonna get.
Zatzik was pretty low round too.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, I should say high round. Anyways, so yeah, I'm just torn about Kunbalik because I don't want to give up a 30 goal scorer when we need one. And if he's going to go somewhere and shoot first, then why isn't he doing that here? Is it because
he's not hitting the net?
Yeah, I mean, if you watch him shoot, man, he's all over the place.
I love his shot. It's very underrated shot.
He's got a great shot. He just can't get it on target.
Yeah, well, he scored the other night. I know Seth Jones made a terrific play, the first goal of the game, I think, against Detroit. And Kunbalik, he stopped the puck and he ended up burying it into an open net. But that was all Seth Jones.
Right.
But it's good to see him get goals. I'm very happy with Hagel. At first, I was like, you know what? I don't consider Hagel untouchable. But you know what, man? He's almost at 20 goals. For a guy making a million and what,
1.8?
1.8? That's still amazing. And he's putting up 20 goals. I could see him being a top 6 guy with, Kaner and all those guys, DeBrincat. And quite honestly, I would like to see Hagel and DeBrincat on the same line. I just think the different types of style sometimes mesh. Sometimes you got that. You remember the Jason Spezza, Danny Heatley, and Daniel Alfredson line in Ottawa years back? Yeah. Those are all different players. You got your solid two-way guy in Spezza. You got your veteran guy who's responsibly defensively, and then you got Danny Heatley who just shot. That's all he would do is shoot the puck. He scored 50 goals that year.
Yeah, he was lights out, and he was fast as hell at the time.
Yeah, and I think the Hawks experiment a little bit with this kid. He could score. There's no doubt about it, and his speed's amazing. That's the thing. He's going to open up the ice for DeBrincat, and if DeBrincat gets space, his shot is so good. Obviously, he's almost at 30 goals, and that was a question I wanted to ask you too. Do you think DeBrincat is going to hit 40 this year?
I believe that he will.
What about 50? Is that out of reach?
He'll need to go on a tear to do it, but it's possible. I mean, we
he'll be honest with you,
we just hit the halfway point.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying I'm hoping 40 he can hit it because that's. I mean, we don't have too many Hawks that have ever done that. I think Amani and maybe Kaner have been the last.
Yeah.
But I would really like to see the Cat hit 50. That's a huge milestone. And Roenick was our last 50 goal scorer. That's how long it's been, man. Way too long.
Yeah. Yeah, so some quick NHL news. Looks like Crosby scored his 498th goal, which is awesome for him. What a great player, man. He's just been solid his whole career, and it's just really hard not to kind of root for him,
Yeah. and to do that with one team, it's even more impressive. And you sat out for a year with concussion issues. He's just a great player.
It was like 18 months he was out. He was out for a long time.
Yeah, that's a shame.
So it looks like Evander Kane made his debut. He's going to try and build off of that.
He scored.
He's a goal scorer, man, and he can do it. It's just kind of crazy to think that he's out there in Edmonton, and Edmonton is kind of like this. How do you say this? Kind of melting pot of what is going to happen out there, and they add Evander Kane to it. Maybe it's the perfect storm.
I've always said Evander Kane was a very good hockey player. He is just a shitty human. I'm not taking any of his hockey skills away because he could play, man. He was the Sharks' best player the last couple of years, and he earned a long contract. And he just, he's had problems everywhere he's gone. So, and hopefully Edmonton, it finds his home in Edmonton because he's playing with two of the best players in the world. I'd be on my best behavior if I got my 7th chance after I screwed up all those times to play with these two guys. It's amazing.
He's so good that that he maybe can get an 8th and 9th chance. I mean, it didn't take him long to get signed.
No, well, I guess we were hearing the rumors he was interested in Edmonton. And it was taking long, but I guess I didn't know this. The NHL was still doing their investigation on him, and he couldn't sign until it was complete. But once it was completed, he signed the next day. So I know a couple teams were interested too, and he ended up going. I don't blame him. I'd want to play with two of those guys if they can get their defense kind of resolved and find a solid goalie. They're going to be a good team again. They've been on a 3-game win streak, so. Obviously, that change has helped.
Lundqvist had his Rangers night. You would think that the guy won them 5 Stanley Cups.
My gosh, yeah, no doubt about it. He's a very good goalie, and I talked to Nick, and we chirp each other a little bit. He's a good guy. I said, hey man, I'm sorry. For me, when I think of New York Rangers goalie, I got Mike Richter. I'm sorry, he got the job done. Yeah, I think he's the best goalie in Ranger history, and Nick went off saying, "Oh no, look at the wins." I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's all about getting 16 wins, and Hank couldn't do it.
Right, 100%, man.
Yep.
100%. I'm not taking anything away from Hank's legacy. Yeah, he was a great goalie, but when it came down to it, man, he didn't get the job done.
And you know what? He won some games alone, like by himself. That's how good he was. But still, it's a team effort. The Rangers just didn't have the team for him. And you know what? I noticed back in the early 2000s, maybe mid to the 10s, I guess you could say, he struggled against the Capitals. Ovechkin had his number. They just couldn't get over that hump. And still, great goalie. He's well deserving of a number retirement. But for me, number 35 is better than number 30. Yeah,
I agree. Zegras got another lacrosse-style goal. Did you see that?
I did. The Michigan, yes. Yeah, the thing is, I talked to goalies that, we've like, hey, what would you do to prevent that? If you watch these Michigan goals they're scoring out, the goalie, he's on his knees already. And I was not taught that way. I was taught to stand on my feet, shuffle over, and hold the post with my glove hand. Or if I'm on my other side, my stick would be along the post, so you could take away a pass, and your shoulder is almost even with the crossbar. And goalies are not doing this. They're going down early. And they're getting beat when they shouldn't, in my opinion. But that's just the new style goalie, and that's how they're training these kids now.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I did see another play. I believe it was Huberdeau. He faked the Michigan. Did you see that against the Sharks? No. So he faked the Michigan. Brett Burns, he grabbed the post, preventing that puck from coming. And he bit. It's almost like he took the bait. And Huberdeau fired it right in front, and Sam Bennett was right there for a tap-in. You're going to have to look at it, dude. I thought that was just genius to do. And that's another, like, these poor goalies got to worry about that Michigan play, And now they're worried and focused on that, and a guy could just fire a pass to the slot. Then he's got to worry about it tapping because his defense are out of position. So it's crazy. Like, I know Torts doesn't like it. I don't know if you heard he hated it. It's bad for the game. It's not bad for the game, but it's bad for goalies, man, because they got to be on their toes now.
So Leon Draisaitl's leading the league with 31 goals. Jonathan Huberdeau's leading the league with 45 assists, and he's leading the league with 62 points, which is pretty impressive.
Wow, yes.
And Vasilevsky's got 24 wins, and the guy just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling, man.
Yep, very good goalie, very good, best in the world.
So that is all that we have got for you tonight. We will see you, Thursday? We got an interview with you with Theo Fox. It's a good one. You're going to love it. He's just a great insight into Blackhawks prospects. And we talk some hockey with him. So we're going to drop that on Thursday. Be sure to check it out. And we'll catch you on the next one. This is the Tomahawk, and we're out of here.